Welcome to episode 2.
Patchwork Podcast.
Ace Frehley actually sang one of my favorite Kiss songs, 2000 Man. It's actually a Rolling Stones cover. It's kind of futuristic and spacey, and it's got a little bit of robot love in there too. Must be part of the reason I always like that song. It's funny, there's this quote here. He said, and I quote, "I probably would have practiced a little more if I knew I was going to affect that many people's lives." Well, I'm glad he didn't practice too much, because the guitar solo from I Was Made for Lovin' You, Baby, it's the only guitar solo I was ever able to learn, really. The only one that I ever mastered. And here's a few more Ace Frehley quotes. And I quote, "For me, it's about the music, and it always has been. Maybe for some other people, it's more about money." Here's another one. "My life has been a roller coaster ride, but somehow I've always been able to land on my feet and still play the guitar." Here's another one. This is a really good little story about how Ace Frehley got into playing guitar. And I quote, "I went to my friend's house one day and he had an electric guitar he just bought with a tiny little amp. I turned the volume up to 10 and I hit one chord and I said, 'I'm in love.'" Now here's my favorite Ace Frehley quote. He's the spaceman, right? Here it is. "When you take a shower in space, you have to press the water onto your body to clean yourself, and then you got to vacuum it off." Unquote. Just love that. Yeah, so I go out the door and there's a big spider web. Almost walked right through it. Looks like somebody had eyes bigger than their stomach. 8 of them probably. So I don't kill the spider, but had to destroy the web. It's probably just a misunderstanding.
This is my voice the day after our Slug Rest gig.
I finally figured out the answer to this mystery that I've been thinking about for years. Every time my favorite Heart song comes on the radio, which is Magic Man, there's always this guitar riff that happens at the 3-minute and 54-second mark. Maybe you already know what I'm going to say. Well, anyway, there's these riffs. There's 3 of them. There's like a dum, bum, bum, bum. That's the first one. Then the next one, like right after that, is chicka-ping, chicka-chin, chicka-chin, something like that. And then the third one right after that is diddle-a-burr, 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 burr. And those 3 riffs, every time I hear them, I think, what song was it that sampled those riffs? Because it's a song that I used to hear a lot. And I couldn't remember what it was. I finally got around to figuring out the answer. It's Ice-T, a song called Personal. Yeah, and there it is. So I was listening to it and I'm like, wow, finally I get to hear this and know the answer to that question. So the Ice-T song uses the first 2 riffs there. And then as the vocals keep going at the end of a little section, at the end of the verse, then the third riff from the Heart song comes in. And I'm like, yay, victory, figured it out. Okay, because I wasn't sure if it was Run DMC or a couple other things that a bunch of us used to listen to on this work site. But anyway, so I'm listening to this Ice-T song, but I had forgot that the third riff sounds really out of tune compared to the other ones, like in a really cool way, like maybe microtonal or something. So then I had to do an in-depth investigation, so I just did that. This really got me thinking about sampling technology in the 80s and how, the way that it changed music. The part that I care about in context of this investigation, the technology itself and some of the peculiarities of the technology itself really shaped and opened up a new level of music. When you use a sampler, here I got a sampler set up right here. I set one up.
Mental patchwork, patchwork.
Okay, fun stuff, right? So with the sampler, you can have natural things to happen as you trigger this with your piano keyboard, right?
Mental.
Right? I'm just pressing the keys, any rhythm, what I want. But you can mix many different unrelated sounds, right? So, you got that song, Owner of a Lonely Heart by Yes, and you have all these different percussion things and sound effects and all this, all mixing into one song, right? It's like a collage or a patchwork.
Patchwork.
Okay, but there's other peculiarities about it, particularly the way that the samples respond to pitch.
Patchwork.
But if you play it lower, a lower note,
Patchwork.
it gets lower.
Patchwork. Patchwork.
But it also gets slower.
Patchwork.
Okay.
Patchwork. Patchwork. Patchwork.
Okay, so when a sample is triggered lower, it's also slower. Okay. That's just like with a record player, you can put your finger on the record and make it slow down, or you can just choose your different speed, and that's going to make it higher or lower, as well as change the speed, right? Same thing with tapes. Check this out. It's a drum beat. So that's funny. I used the pitch bend to make the drum beat go lower, and as you could tell, it slowed down. So I think that's fun. And here's the same drum beat an octave lower. So an octave is exactly half as fast or twice as fast. Oops, where is it? What's going on? So how about both at the same time? Super fun. Okay, so what if you're making your own brand new song, right? And you're using a sample from a different song, but your brand new song is a different tempo from the one that you're sampling from. Well, say if your new song is faster, you could trigger the sample higher to make it match your new tempo, right? Ice-T song Personal, right? The tempo of that is 113 beats per minute. Okay, I figured it out. By the way, 113 is a prime number. Mysterious for people who care about that kind of stuff. Prime numbers are pretty interesting, I think. The number 13 is a prime number, whereas the number 12, which is right next to it, is divisible by many numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. I think that's about it. So there's different advantages to using prime numbers or not prime numbers. But I mean, that's, if I'm talking 12 and 13s, we're getting into, bringing in the topic of a 13 moon calendar and a 13 house astrology and things like that. By the way, Friday the 13th, I was just watching the first movie there, and there seems to be a bit of a, mistake or like a creative license that was taken with the movie. Takes place on Friday, June 13th, 1979. But June 13th was a Wednesday on 1979. Wonder if there's some sort of esoteric symbolism in that error that they built into the movie. Back to the task. So the Heart song, Magic Man, which is, by the way, my favorite Heart song. And every time I hear Heart on the radio, they just sound better and better to me all the time. You know, like some really great attention to detail with all the guitars and whatnot, and just like so well thought out and tasteful and enjoyable. And then I saw a little bit of a documentary on Heart back from the 70s or whatever, and they're just such nice people. You know, that makes me like them even more. So the Heart song, Magic Man, 107 beats per minute. Hey Siri, is 107 a prime number?
For 107, the answer is yes. 107 is a prime number because it is only two distinct divisors, 1 and itself 107.
Also a prime number. I need a sound effect that is like mysterious. And the way I wanted to figure this out was I got my tempos 113 and 107. There's a formula. The formula tells you how much the pitch is going to change when you change the tempo. And the formula goes like this. Pitch difference in cents equals 1200 times log 2 of the ratio of the two tempos or frequencies. Tempo and frequency are the same thing, by the way, right? Like beats per minute or cycles per second, it's still cycle per time. But anyway, so when I did that formula, it said that 94 cents, that's 94% of 1 fret. The prediction given by that formula of 94 cents is close enough to 100 cents that it would support the idea that the third guitar sample attained its pitch due to the tempo change, whereas the first two samples were only 50 cents higher instead of 94 or 100, which tells me that it gives me a hint. It's not conclusive, but it seems to indicate that the producer may have used a different type of sampling technology where the pitch and the speed are independent instead of interdependent. As you might have guessed, when those two parameters are independent, it means that you can change each one as much as you want without relying on having to use any formula or just having to accept whatever transposition happens to be the byproduct of the tempo change. You have full control. But whichever method they used, I definitely think it sounds really cool that the first two riffs are a certain pitch and then the third riff is a microtone pitch different. So microtonal means less than 1 fret because it's literally a half of a fret out of tune with the other ones. I'm probably like one of very, very few people who would care about this sort of thing, so I'm surprised that you're still listening to me talk. On the subject of 12 and 13 duality, once upon a time, a friend lent me this guitar and I noticed that the harmonic, which is usually aligned with the 12th fret and represents an octave, but on this guitar, the harmonic was aligned with the 13th fret. Now, there is such thing as 13-tone equal temperament, but that would require recalculating the spacing of the frets using a formula that has the number 13 in it instead of the number 12. So it's kind of like the 13 system and the 12 system are superimposed together in a way that doesn't really quite jive, but it's pretty fascinating. And obviously reminiscent of some other 12-13 dualities that we have in the universe, such as the thing with the moons not matching the months, etc. 12 moons when there should be 13. 12 zodiacs when there should be 13. I mean, I can see why they would change it to 12 in terms of like, what if you have 4 seasons? How are you going to divide 13 months into 4 seasons? It doesn't go, right? So 12 is more convenient. But there's something weird about it though, you know, because especially just the fact that there's 13 moons. So there are calendars that actually coincide with that a lot better. I actually have one right here. I brought it out because it's so amazing. This is a 13 moon calendar that I got. 1999 is when I got it, I think. It's kind of based on Mayan stuff. We have something called Zolkins. There's like a harmonic module. So many interesting terminologies contained in this. And it's really fun. Once you open up the calendar to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. These are 28-day cycles. 13 times 28.
The answer is 364.
So yeah, 13 28-day months can line up with the moons just perfectly. All the way up to 364 days. And then they have something called the day out of time for a total of 365 days. And they have all these really fun little pictures, these glyphs. There's like multiple cycles that all overlap each other. And they have colors associated with them. Yellow, red, white, blue, yellow, red, white, blue. Some of the names that are created by the superimposition of these various cycles include things like this. Yellow solar seed. That's the name of a day, all right? Red planetary serpent. And then the next day is a white spectral world bridger. Blue crystal hand. And there's a picture for each one, and they're just so cool. And so you can even look up your birthday online, like I think it's called Tzolk'in, Tzolkin, and you look up the Tzolk'in for your birthday. And mine is Red Galactic Dragon. So that's me. I'm a Red Galactic Dragon. Okay. And the way they show this, the number system, you know how we have tally, which is like a vertical slash, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, and then number 5 is going across. Well, in this system of numbers, they have 1, 2, 3, 4 dots all side by side to each other. And then when it becomes 5, you just join all them with a line. So it just looks like a horizontal line. So horizontal line is 5. So the number 9 would be a horizontal line with 4 dots above it. And I like that, the way it looks so much, that I used it for one of my albums, Lex Plexus Stellar Trip. On the back of the CD, I used that numbering system to number the tracks. But anyway, wouldn't it be nice if the moons lined up with the months, etc.? Okay, weird. The clock on the microwave, I come in here and it says 12:13, but it's actually 1:43. WTF? Interrobang. It's time for a musical nugget. This is the part of the show where I play some live music in front of the microphone. This is Amazing Grace on 12-string guitar. Hope you enjoy it. I just read an amazing story. So, when Samuel L. Jackson was first brought on board to the Star Wars movie Episode 1, he didn't know what was going on. He didn't have access to a script. He didn't know what his character was or anything. So they take him to the wardrobe section, and he thought he must be in the wrong room because it looks like there was Jedi robes. And so he's like, whoa, you mean I get to be a Jedi? And they're like, yeah. And then this other person comes along with a suitcase, and they open it up, and it's full of lightsabers. And he was like, go ahead, pick your lightsaber. And Samuel L. Jackson says he freaked out and almost passed out. That's an amazing story. And, whoa, the suitcase, right? Open it up. That's like the suitcase in Pulp Fiction. And it's also like the burgundy and gold magic treasure chest that contained my mooncakes from last episode. Wow. Maybe that means I'm a Jedi. I should buy a lottery ticket today. So, you know the Bionic Woman? Well, the actress Lindsay Wagner, she used to live next door to Eddie Van Halen and Valerie Bertinelli. And then Eddie built his studio in his house or in the tennis court or whatever. And I guess it was so loud when they were recording the 1984 album that Lindsay Wagner moved out of her house. And then Eddie bought her house. It's kind of a funny little story, hey? So now I'm just going to ask ChatGPT a question. Why do average people care about the lives and stories of famous people? Psychological, social, and cultural reasons. Even though it might seem irrational at first glance, there are several deep human mechanisms at play. 1. Aspirational psychology. Famous people often represent what society celebrates: success, talent, beauty, wealth, power. Learning about them lets people explore possibilities for their own lives or escape into fantasy. Even if someone doesn't actually want to be a celebrity, they might still enjoy peeking into a life that feels extraordinary. 2. Social hierarchies and evolution. Humans evolved in tribes where it was important to pay attention to high-status individuals because they controlled access to resources, protection, and opportunities. Today, celebrities function as modern high-status figures, and our brains are wired to track their behavior as though it's somehow relevant to our own survival, even if logically it isn't. 3. Parasocial relationships. 4. Meaning and narrative. 5. Social glue. 6. Emotional catharsis and projection. 7. Media manipulation and business. I kind of skipped over some of those. Which ones do I carry here? People form one-sided emotional bonds. This is number 3, parasocial relationships. People form one-sided emotional bonds with public figures. An actor, musician, politician, or athlete can feel like a familiar character in someone's life story. When something happens to them, a divorce, crisis, triumph, it feels personal, even though the connection is entirely one way. This feels emotional needs for connection, mentorship, or inspiration. 5. Social glue. Talking about famous people is part of social bonding. It gives people a shared cultural reference. Okay. In a fragmented society, it provides common ground. Skeletons of society. Well, all right. That was GPT Corner. GPT. I just got the bonus board on top of the house in Ambleside and Forza Horizon 4. That only took like 3 years. I can't believe they would bleep out the word chicken shit in that Alanis Morissette song. Censorship is so stupid. They totally wrecking the song. If I hear censorship on a radio station in the middle of a song, I usually just change the channel right away. It pisses me off.
Guitar solo!
Okay, guess what I just did? Guess. Nope. I just went woo 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 for 4 minutes and 12 seconds straight as a backup singer for the Rolling Stones. That song about the devil, one of their songs about the devil. They probably got a bunch of them, but that one song was on the radio just now, and I give myself like a 99% grade for endurance. I didn't miss any of them. And I give myself about a 60 to 70% grade for being in tune. You know, I did the best I could, but actually, even the high ones, I got the high ones too. But you should try it. Why not? It's a great endurance test. That's a good way to get kicked out of a party. I dare you. Double dog dare you. I don't even feel lightheaded, which means I also must have done something right. I don't know. Learning to sing is a very slow process, it feels like sometimes. I wonder when they played that song live, if they have anybody just singing those woo-woos like forever. It goes for 4 minutes and 12 seconds straight once they finally kick in. Like, that's quite a bit of endurance. As I pat myself on the back. When I use this guitar sample from my theme song that I played on guitar, and I use it like this, it reminds me of some really cool tracks that I found back in the day of mp3.com. That was maybe about the year 2000 or so. What a phenomenon that was. I really enjoyed finding so many crazy, inventive, underground, independent, unknown electronic music. And it was just so friggin' awesome. I found so much cool stuff on there, and I still have most of my downloads. Listening to a bunch of them yesterday. But this in particular, that's a heavy metal guitar note, right? Well, this one band did a track called Tribute to Heavy Metal. I wish I could find it online, but I do have it in my collection that I get to listen to, but I can't play it for you guys because of copyright and whatnot. And I wish that I could tell you how to find it, but you know, maybe someone else has it in their collection from those days. But it's a band called Muscle Engine. I don't know if they ever made more than one track. That's the only track I have by them, but it's called Tribute to Heavy Metal, and it's crazy. It's so insane. But here's some more band names from that era. I kind of made a little list. Xylox, X-Y-L-O-X. I wonder if it's actually pronounced Shylox or something. TBOL, that's another band name. These are all band names, TBOL. You want to guess what that stands for? Nope, wrong. It stands for The Beginning of Lotus. They have some very pretty sounding, elegant, spacey, nice tracks. Dr. Mario did a really crazy cut up drum and bass jungle type of thing with some sample from some movie. I forget what movie it was. Well, actually, I looked it up. Reddit to the rescue. It's actually from Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man that they sampled in that track. That track was called Bag for Life. But this is back in the days when I used to use a computer program called Acid Pro all the time. And those are some of my favorite, most enjoyable times on a computer making music for sure. I mean, I've used lots of different things like Ableton and all this, but Acid Pro was so easy to use the keyboard to very quickly make extreme edits to your music, cutting, chopping, erasing, moving, pitching up and down, just all very, very fast. So fast that it reminded me of what it was like to use AutoCAD before AutoCAD went to Windows, and it was no good anymore. The MS-DOS version was way better. I think version 9. Here's another band name from the mp3.com days. Mr. Wazo, Rodeon, Decaf, local guy. Hey, I wonder if are you listening to my radio show right now? No, probably not. I actually saw Decaf, he's a local guy here. I saw him play at Shambhala. That was really cool. I actually have a box set of like a double CD. Double? I think it might be triple. It's over there somewhere. I still have my CDs. I gave away all my cassettes at one point during one of my moves, but I still have some local ones. I hear another artist from those days. Somebody named Pedro with a song named Pedro. That's a real nice down-tempo track. Red Joy Reid. I think I have her CD. I also have the Zylox CD. Back in those days, you could print CDs straight from mp3.com. It was kind of neat. I know nowadays they have all that and much more, but I don't know. There was something special about that era of mp3.com. One of my favorites from that time, an artist called Phrygia, Phrygia. Maybe if you're familiar with music theory or something, you know there's something called the Phrygian scale, and or mode, whatever you want to call it. So I guess those modes are all named after Greek cities or something. Phrygia had a really cool track called Zircon encrusted tweezers. What is that from? I think it's hold on a sec.
Oh yeah, well here it is. I guess Frank Zappa
did sing about Zircon and encrusted tweezers at some point. If I was more familiar with knowledgeable about the lyrics, I would
tell you.
I know there's Zappa fans that might be listening who would know more about that. But anyway.
Just one thing I love most about electronic music is that music in general, whether it's a guitar, especially recorded music, or just close your eyes and listen to any music, it's transcendent. It's its own world made out of sound, right? And the music that people make can go so far above what you see otherwise in human behavior. It's not very streamlined, humanity on Earth. There's a lot of chaos, mistakes, unfairness, abuse.
Human behavior has not been optimized.
Yes, I agree. Human behavior has not been optimized.
Human behavior seems unrefined.
Yes, I agree with you as well. Human behavior does seem unrefined. And humans are capable of crappy things, so that it almost seems like a miracle in comparison that humans can make beautiful things too. And creations can be at a higher level than their creators. This calls for one of these sounds right here, like from the last episode. Creations transcend their creators.
Creations transcend their creators.
Creations transcend their creators.
And then you start to get technology into it. And you can transcend even further. So you get some filters, you get some echo. As soon as you put some echo on something, now you have definitely used technology to increase even further the transcendental potential of music. You know, so you can make this music that sounds like it's from another dimension, or like the music itself is like a portal to another dimension. I'm not saying it is, but it just kind of, maybe it is. It feels like it is sometimes. Yes. Alien soundscapes can be created. I have in my possession a supposed quantum transistor device. No. A quantum diode. That's what it is. Well, I know a transistor is made of diodes technically, but this is just an individual diode type of device that has a thickness that is only 1 molecule thick. I think I'm getting that right. And so that the signals going through it are interacting with that barrier at a quantum level or something. And supposedly it doesn't really do that much to the sound, but I just, I guess it's not a big deal, but it just seems like a big deal. So I'm going to use that sometime, but it's sensitive. I got to be careful not to wreck it. Another band from those days, mp3.com days, was Aphelion, Catfish UK. An artist named Chucky Mai had a track called Infime et Infime. Venetian Snares, who have since become like quite a bit more famous. Last time I listened to this Aphex Twin album, Drugs, which is spelled D-R-U-K-Q-S. I had to just keep track. I got a Post-it note and I wrote down which tracks are fast and which tracks are slow and kept track of them, because when I'm in the mood to listen to that album, it's either like I only want to hear all the fast tracks, usually, or sometimes I only want to hear all the slow tracks. So there's some other tracks from the mp3.com days. The Terrible Secret of Space by Bitstream Dream. That's a fun track where they sampled some, I don't know where they got it from, but it's like robots talking about taking over the world and all this, and they're being sneaky, trying to get the humans to trust them. And this is starting to get in the direction of this amazing track that I discovered yesterday by Grimes. That's a whole other topic. Well, I mean, I'm not going to get there right now, but soon. Wow. Okay, so these two tracks, Terrible Secret of Space, and this other track, Invasion of the Gabber Robots by The Laziest Man on Mars. That track is a whole phenomenon unto itself, including especially the sample, All Your Bass Are Belong to Us. So those two tracks, The Terrible Secret of Space and Invasion of the Gabber Robots, they are very closely connected. Suddenly, even though that was 25 years ago, suddenly I have a new track in my life, and it's Artificial Angels by Grimes. And that track is my favorite new track. I'm not ready to start talking about it yet, but it's related to these other two that I mentioned because of the theme of robots taking over the world. Artist called Uberzone did a track about robots taking over the world. It's called Bots, B-O-T-Z. But there's lots of tracks about that. It's a fun topic, A lot of my favorite movies are in that direction. But there's this other track by Uberzone called Too Cool for School with Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force. To this day, that's one of my favorite tracks of all time. It's just so hype. It's just hyper, strong, fun. And it sounds like perfect breakdancing music. Every once in a while, I see breakdancing videos. And usually when I do, I get inspired to write some breakdance music on this program I have on my phone called Gadget, made by Korg. And oh yeah, so one track that I made, I actually played drums along with Uberzone Too Cool for School. Just played along on the drums, right? And recorded myself playing the drums. You know, so then I've got this fresh, brand new song that has nothing but me playing the drums. And then I started adding my own guitars and whatnot to it. And eventually it became my own track. And I called it Drop the Tone from my album called Jazz for Jinkies. By the way, people have asked where did I get that title, Jazz for Jinkies? And it's because I saw a little bit of a cartoon.
A comic, not a cartoon, a comic.
I'm gonna bring this up on the computer here. So Jinkies is something that Velma says, and according to this little
Comic.
that was somehow connected with Scooby-Doo and all this acronyms. Juno, Isis, Nemesis, Kali, Ishtar, Electra, Sybil, Jinkies, okay? And Zoinks, which is what Shaggy says. Zeus, Odin, Icarus, Neptune, Kronos, Sisyphus. Greek or Roman, whatever it is. Mythology, acronyms for fun. So let's listen to my track, Drop the Tone.
Yes, let's listen to it.
away from this now. What else? Wow. I think I'm actually ready to start talking about Grimes' new track. This is what it feels like to be hunted by something smarter than you. That's the first sound that you hear when you listen to the new Grimes track. It's a scary track. The lyrics are about robots taking over the world, hunting humans, etc. Like Terminator, Murderbot. There's a whole bunch of shows that I like about how robots and AI could really go wrong. I love that show Westworld. I've multi-binged that one. Season 1, probably I've seen it about 7 or 8, 9, 10 times. Season 2, I've probably seen about 5 or 6 times. Season 3, I've probably seen about 4 or 5 times. Season 4, I've seen probably about 4 times. Yeah, wow, I just really root for the good guy, which in this case is the robots in Westworld anyway. You know, humans can be so mean. Like, even in this movie, Alien Romulus, right? I like that movie. I don't know. There's a lot of snobby, complainy movie fans out there that just like to trash talk everything. Opinions, whatever. There's 8 billion people. You think an opinion is worth anything? Hey Siri, what's 1 divided by 8 billion?
It's 1.25 times 10 to the negative 10th power.
It's 1.25 times 10 to the negative 10 power. Okay. That's a lot of zeros after the decimal before you get to enjoy the worth of your opinion. Yeah, so in this movie, Alien Romulus, which I quite enjoyed actually, there's a robot, happy, helpful, friendly, nice robot. And some of the robot's owners, peers are like so racist against robots, or it's exactly like just being homophobic or racist the way these people are like really mean to robots. I don't like it. Here's a list of movies. Her, Companion. Like in that movie, Companion, well, same as in Westworld, like the robots don't know that they're robots, and that's pretty unfair, and because they don't know how the humans are viewing them, it's just like not very nice to withhold that knowledge. And when they find out, they might not enjoy the surprise. There's one called Subservience. There's this show called Foundation based on Isaac Asimov. There's a important robot character in there. The show Megan. The show Morgan. Wow, I like that one. That psychologist who really antagonized Morgan was just a jerk. But he got his just dessert. Well, I mean, maybe too much. I don't know. Matter of opinion. A show called Creative Control. I don't remember that one right now. Event Horizon. That's more like a demon kind of devil spirit, I think, that was possessing the spaceship. Kind of getting into not necessarily far from the theme. Ex Machina. Ex Machina is probably better way to pronounce it. I gotta watch that again. That used to be one of my favorites. What else? Lars and the Real Girl. This is more getting into the power of dolls and using them as maybe surrogates for humans. Or this show Servant, where it seems like it was going beyond tricks and more into like magic powers. That was a crazy show. Servant by M. Night Shyamalan. Oh, what else? I mean, we could get into Maximum Overdrive. How did those cars, that's with the AC/DC soundtrack and all that. And then we got Knight Rider. A car, smart car, really smart. Herbie the Love Bug. Wow. I rewatched the old first movie. It was a lot of fun. You know, there you go. Just on the theme of robots and whatnot, because, okay, Grimes. Yesterday I found out Grimes has a new track, and I love it. Lucky for me, I'm listening to it right now. I'm sorry that's not fair that, you know, you could play it if you want right now. You could, I don't know if you can listen to music and this podcast at the same time somehow, but I just love this track. So I love this Grimes album, Art Angels. I don't remember exactly how I found it, but I immediately recognized that I love her production style and the vocals and everything, and really adventurous production style. Just that whole album is so great, and it really goes in different places, goes in different directions, including some really elegant, beautiful stuff. But that album was a few years ago already. But then just a couple days ago here, I saw that she has a new single, and I was like, I wonder if I'm going to like it. But yeah, sure enough, this track, I just immediately loved it. And I listened to it for about 2 hours straight on repeat. So for about a 3-minute song, I guess I listened to it probably 50 times so far. And to describe the beat, how I hear it is, it's dark. I mean, it's about robots taking over the world. So if you don't enjoy that, you might not enjoy the track. The tonality is, hey, it's Phrygian. That's back to, I mentioned that word earlier. I'm not sure what the root note is. Hold on a second. Oh, what's the 4th fret on a C sharp string? C sharp, D sharp. It's an F Phrygian. That's a dark tonality, okay? So the bass line really reminds me of cybernetic old frontline assembly. You know, it has very similar sounds to that, the synthesizer and whatnot. I'm going to guess it's like filtered sawtooth or something like that. I should know what it is, but I don't. And very, like, just so cybernetic. Feel like I'm in a robot world, like the second Tron movie. The second Tron movie to me was such a great, really mission accomplished in terms of transporting me into the world of living inside of a computer, like all the neon and all the action sequences with the bikes and all this. Just great, you know, so thorough. It's a nice holiday from reality to dive into some weird alien environment like that. And that's kind of what this music does for me. It's so melodic too. It's beautiful, but it's also dark. You know, it's very streamlined. I love the attention to detail. The beat is infectious. The beat reminds me of an artist called Justice. That's the French electronic music duo. Like I said, the bass line reminds me of Frontline Assembly. But it's just full of her vocals, which makes it her own thing. I was surprised to find out that the Art Angels album for Grimes was propelled or inspired partly by some frustration with the music industry trying to typecast her into being, oh, well, you have a female voice, you have a high voice, so we want to market you like this, and we think you should not produce your own music. We want these guys to produce it. You know, we don't. It's just so weird. It just seems weird to me that it just seems so stupid, like unintelligent to try to limit someone who can do amazing things just because she's a chick. It's so freaking dumb. So that was part of what motivated her to again make like one of my favorite albums. But I didn't even find out the backstory till yesterday, right? So this new track comes along. It's about robots being very scary. Okay, it is a creepy track. I like it. Just in time for Halloween too. You know, and then so I did a little bit of more deep dive, checking out some of her other tracks that I've obviously missed out on. I'm oblivious to most things. It's a lot of the times when I find a favorite new artist, I just find one album that I really connect to, and then it takes me a while to find their other stuff. Kind of like that death metal band Suffocation. I really connected with the blue one. Something about the Dark Light, I think, which I also love because I did an album called Dark Light, and there was a Dark Light music festival in Kamloops, and just like a perfect pair of words, Dark Light. Oh yeah, but then it took me like a year after that until I started finding their other albums. suffocation. So then I went searching for more stuff to do with this new Grimes track, right? Artificial Angels. Oh yeah, one thing that's neat about this, which she does in her music a lot, is it has the menacing quality of the in the verses, right? The dark tonality. But then the chorus, I know I'm ruining the surprise. Well, maybe you should go listen to it yourself. Okay, but so too bad I'm spoiling this for you, but you can press stop and come back. The chorus is so like, wow, it makes it even more creepy because it's like at the end of the Portal game where they start saying there will be cake. The chorus is like, don't worry, you can trust me. Fingers crossed behind their back. Imagine the Terminator crossing his fingers behind his back while he tells you a lie. That's what the chorus is like in this Grimes song. It's all uplifting and sounds all safe and stuff. It's like, yeah, no. Yeah, no. Well, I love the idea of having a harmonious and productive and loving relationship with artificial intelligence and robots in the future. And I don't mean to sound pervy or anything. Like, I probably won't go there. None of your business anyway. But I just mean like, I like how, it can help us in so many ways. Like, wouldn't it be nice if in the legal system we don't have racism contributing to innocent people going to jail and people being, incorruptibility. Could we not create some incorruptible systems? Yeah. And like, even just like, it's already happening. A buddy was telling me AI assisted therapy can help more and more people have healthy minds. And wouldn't improving the mental health of humanity in general as much as possible instead of letting so much slip through the cracks and turn into criminal activity, wouldn't that just improve humanity so much if we allow such a strong intelligence to help us instead of being scared? So yeah, I'm not scared. I'm going to watch Westworld again and I'm going to root for the robots. Just for fun. Just for fun. No, I'm not anti-human. I'm not. I swear. Okay. Most of my friends are all human. I've had a lot of friends who are also animals. And why would I not also have friends that are robots? I mean, it's a very interesting place to be in Earth, human life right now. I feel pretty lucky to be alive to see some of it happening. And on that topic, I found an amazing find at the record store one day. It's the complete series of the old cartoon, The Jetsons. No, I haven't watched it yet, but it's about the future and it's from way back times. I think that cartoon was made before the moon landing, if I'm not mistaken. Let's look this up. The Jetsons. It originally aired in 1962. Moon landing, I shouldn't even have to look this up. 1969. So yeah, I'm just automatically fascinated by any science fiction that was written or created before the moon landing. Yeah. So the Jetsons. Maybe I really do want to be a robot. Ghost in the Shell is so cool. I'm running out of stuff to say. Bye.
End of podcast episode. Goodbye.